It's your boy Poe here with my girl Amy and my girl Lambhammer. And today we are going to be talking about a very special topic, a topic that a lot of us love, some of us hate, specifically The Legend of Korra, the TV show. Uh, Now, I know a lot of people have watched and loved growing up with the Last Airbender original series. It was a beautiful thing, one of the most my favorite TV shows in my life. I loved it. I was like a little kid. It was my whole thing.
Also,
But
the Equalizer's not a lamb.
What?
The animated thing for the voices is not
Oh,
up.
hell.
thank you, Amy,
One
for.
second.
Okay, you could have just DM that. Anyway, like like I was saying, the Legend of Korra. I lost my train of thought. Thank you. Wow. Okay, like
This whole thing is just absolutely fucked. No problem.
we are good. We are good. Anyway, like I was saying, the Legend of Korra came out right like 4 years after
Hello, Poe, common guy.
right after the Last Airbender ended. 4 years after that, that was when Legend of Korra started. Now, Amy, did you guys ever watch Legend of Korra?
No. I
No.
don't watch trash.
Okay, but did you know it was trash when it started?
No, I just thought the character was interesting to some degree. I never actually watched the show, nor do I know any lore about Avatar.
Okay, let me tell you. See, when Last Airbender ended, I was what? That was 2008. I was like in middle school, probably, maybe. No, I was in sixth grade when the Last Airbender ended. So I love that show. I talked about it all the time. I wrote little nonsense about it in my notebooks. So when it ended and I was going on the forums, I was online, I found out they were making a sequel already. I told people all the time at school, all my friends, none of them believed me because they didn't have the time to be on forums. So they called my bluff, said I was BSing. And you know what? I was like, I'm gonna be vindicated when the show comes out and you all didn't believe me. So 4 years later, I'm what, 15, the show comes out, and I watched the first episode and I'm like, this kind of sucks. Like this is what I was waiting 4 years for to watch. And so I was like, okay, okay, okay.
I know I'm working on it, brother.
And I was like, okay. So I'm gonna give this a few more episodes. I'm gonna give this another try. So I watch episode one, I watch episode two, I watch episode three. I'm like, this feels
Woo.
like Degrassi. And
Just pick one, lamb.
I did.
this
I had it. I did. The setting always goes back to a absolute ass.
okay, like I was saying, this feels like Degrassi. Now, Degrassi, I also watched that a lot with Drake, especially the episode where he got shot. I laughed at that episode. That was before Drake was even Drake, so you know. But I was like, this isn't Airbender. This isn't Avatar. This is some teenage bullshit. And I got up to episode five before I realized, wow, this is just complete trash. And I pretty much stopped, except for dipping in occasionally to watch some more actiony episodes. But honestly, that's my main experience with Legend of Korra. So today, guys, we're going to be talking with some guests who really either really enjoy or really hate The Legend of Korra. Our first guest is going to be a dude who really actually loves this show. And I figured having him speak first on it would actually give you guys more of an idea as to the good parts of the show because I would not be the one to speak on that. So, ladies and gentlemen,
Poe,
Water, yes.
let me DM you.
Okay. You could just.
All right, that was quick.
What's up, Hexwater?
Good evening.
Sorry, I was in the middle of conversation. Yeah. So, what's up?
So we just wanted you to talk about why you like Degrassi. Degrassi. Why you liked Legend of Korra. What you liked about it. Like, why are you a fan when so many people hate it?
Well, for instance, for the record, I started to watch Avatar series a bit late in my life. I didn't grow up on The Last Airbender. So when I started to watch The Last Airbender, it came to me out as maybe childish cartoon. Not childish. I wasn't the targeted audience. But Korra, well, There is a lot of things to criticize Korra for. For example, how Mary Sue she comes off at the very beginning of the series. But the thing that resonates with me whenever I watch or whenever sorry, whenever I rewatch the show is the aspect of trauma. I mean, how she fights it. That her fight with the Red Lotus ended a long time ago, and she's still having issues with it. And the way to her for her recovery, the overall change. I think Korra is targeted towards more mature audience, in my very honest opinion. Maybe that's why I prefer Korra over Aang.
Okay.
I can't
So
imagine preferring Korra over Aang personally.
Yeah,
so
I know, but it's not like I don't like Aang. It's like I'm more in the middle, maybe a bit leaning towards Korra. I'm not a part of any of the group. I mean, I do not defend Korra with my bare chest, saying that she's the best. No, there is a lot of things that I don't like about Korra. There are a lot of things that I don't like about Aang, and that's such as life.
What don't you like about Aang?
Uh, what I don't like. I thought about this question before, and I had the answer, but I'm a little bit tipsy. What I didn't like is. I had a feeling that some episodes could be cut off and no one would notice. I cannot recall specific episodes, but while watching it, I could feel like this episode wasn't as necessary, this scene wasn't necessary. Maybe
okay.
that's why.
Okay, so I understand what you mean. You never watched. You didn't start with the original, is what you're saying.
No, I started with the original, but at a very late age, I was like 16 when I started watching Aang, because in Poland we didn't have The Last Airbender, and
Okay.
I watched it on streaming services. Since for over a decade I do not have a telly, so I I just picked the show when I thought it's the time. So yeah, basically that's it, and maybe that's why Korra resonated more with me, because I was, I don't know, more mature.
Uh,
Hmm.
okay, so I can understand. I can understand where you're coming from.
Hmm.
But can I just mention something specifically when it came to the
Sure.
Last Airbender? Like I watched some episodes of the Last Airbender, especially the first season.
Hmm.
After I had watched, I'd given the first season of Legend of Korra a try.
Hmm.
So the first thing I noticed about The Last Airbender compared to Legend of Korra was that when it started, I immediately felt a sense of drama, a sense of scale, a sense of importance that wasn't there with Legend of Korra.
Hmm. There
Like
is not.
Legend of Korra, it started off silly with the I'm the Avatar, you got to deal with it, and then bending three elements at the age of 4.
Yeah, that was
And
pretty Mary Sue.
then
Sorry.
we skipped right to the age when she's 17 and firebending and beating a whole team. I was like, okay. So when I first watched it, okay, look, she's powerful, she's strong. I get that. It's cool. And then uh, we get to Republic City, and all of a sudden I'm like, this, this is cool. At first I was like, this is cool. There's so much going on here. The world is advanced, and I felt okay. The world has changed. There's more to the world now. But like I automatically felt kind of weirded out that we go from the world spanning thing of Avatar, where they're immediately traveling all over the world, to just one city, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, yes, of course. For me personally, I would cut the scene when we see Korra at this very early stage as a 4-year-old. I would cut it out. I would just start the series with 17-year-old Korra that just got out of her tribe, and maybe mention her family in flashbacks, or just as a form of exposition. As for the feeling, I think I'm more into a story that is more centered in a smaller community compared to the world, of course, because in the last Airbender we had like a nation threat in the form of Fire Nation. In case of the first season of Korra, we have Amon, who is a threat to all the benders. He can take your bending away. He's a threat. There is a revolution coming from non-benders towards benders, and which is really funny. In at least I think so, because a lot of the stuff in the Republic City happens and works on people's bending. For example, electricity. I totally forgot. Lighting redirection was the technique called? I don't know. Either way, it is pretty funny. Maybe I'm more into a smaller degree threat than in the world. Maybe that's just me. But to
Okay, no.
continue.
So, didn't you feel that Legend of Korra got immediately too much into romance, as opposed to actually dealing with,
Oh,
issues?
don't even fucking start on a romance because this is the very big thorn in my side. This triangle wasn't even necessary. We had Korra and we had Asami and Mako.
Yes.
They have very different personalities, and I get that they broke up, but all of the sudden Mako and Korra got together, and it was even worse mix because Korra is like, at least she was during the first the first season, the first book. She was very like bathed in the hot water, as we used to say in Poland. Uh, and they broke up. She got amnesia. They pretended to be together when they broke up, and by the end of the series, suddenly Korasami, which didn't even make sense to me.
Yes.
I've rewatched Korra like 2 years ago, and this is what I remember. I didn't catch anything between Korra and Asami, and it felt so rushed. I would cut a romance all the way. Well,
Okay. Uh,
maybe
past
maybe I
past season one. Past season one. How do you
season.
feel
So
about how the show Legend of Korra portrayed the Avatar state? Because that's one of my biggest. Like I could have forgiven a lot. I could have forgiven a lot if they kept the atmosphere, the power, the respect, just the
Mhm.
sheer drama. Every time Aang went into the Avatar state, you knew shit went real. You knew things were going
Yes.
down. You knew someone was about to get their shit wrecked. Um,
Yeah, that was good.
Basically anyone he fought in the Avatar state was done, except for when Azula hit him behind the back when he was focused on like a whole bunch of people, because
Yeah.
in the Avatar state he literally could wreck armies.
Mhm.
But then we had Legend of Korra, where Korra would go into the Avatar state, and she would barely do anything but more than slightly stronger forms of her regular bending. She would get her butt kicked in the Avatar state. Like
Mm.
you would go back to you would go back to the Last Airbender, and you would see Kyoshi use the Avatar state for a moment and literally split continents. You would see the water bending Avatar before Aang literally raise the entire ocean up.
Mhm.
You would see what's his name, Roku, like
Yeah.
bathe the sky in fire, but Korra not so much.
So your gripe
No,
seems to be that it's less about becoming the avatar, less about growing as the avatar, and it seems like Korra is a little bit more focused on like individualism and personal struggles, maybe to people that are living currently,
yeah.
like trying
That
too hard to reach a very certain kind of audience, which might be teenage girls.
that was actually the point I was going to make in the podcast. Like, uh, I get it. The Avatar state was nerfed down to the ground, like it's no one's business, and it's just it was a nice shift because the Avatar state was like a trump card that no one has basically a counter to, in my very honest opinion, except for Azula. But Azula was a psycho bitch. That's one thing.
Okay,
As for
okay.
Korra, mm, I think. Mm, Maybe the downgrade did lead the screenwriters to, I don't know, focus on more down to earth stuff, more emotional.
Possibly. I'm gonna leave you on that. I do
Cheers.
agree that you have a point there. I'd like to introduce our second guest, Yifi, who has a more neutral opinion on the Legend of Korra.
Hey, how goes?
Hi,
Hey,
hi
How does it
there.
go? So Yifi, like when it comes to the Legend of Korra, what do you like and what do you dislike about it? Really?
I think you kind of mentioned it. She was already OP at 4, but I do like that they toned that down when she becomes a teenager. But even more than that, I love all the fucking characters. Excuse my language.
You don't have to. So, what's your favorite character, really? Other like, I know you're not a fan of Korra herself, but who are your favorite characters? Because personally, Bolin is my number one favorite character. Bolin and Tenzin are my favorite characters in that show. Everybody else, I don't care.
1 second, there's quite a few. Damn. I do love Bei Feng. She's pretty badass. But she's also based off of uh, one of the people. Shoot, I forgot her name, but yeah. Uh, but one moment. You guys can continue without me if you don't mind.
Okay. So, let me bring in our third guest real quickly, Mr. Owarida, who is a when it comes to Legend of Korra, his opinion is strong but negative. Mr. Owarida, so how do you feel about the Legend of Korra?
People.
uh-oh. Did you not warn him?
Mr. Owarida, are you there?
I don't think so.
Okay,
He
I'm gonna
doesn't
let him go
realize
for a
he's
bit.
here.
Okay, I'm gonna let him go for a bit. Anyway, look,
My
let me just talk. Let me just talk about a little bit of what I really disliked about Legend of Korra. Personally, I felt the Korra's team avatar, uh, which they didn't have a good name. First of all, was my big gripe. With Aang, you had the gang, and that was cool. That was a cool name. I mean, I was like what 8 to 10 when I liked it, but I still felt that was an awesome name, the gang. But like they were bland. Like they didn't really have any decent character interactions and development other than Korra going from Bolin to uh Mako, back to Mako, then to Asami. That was they were not really connected. They weren't a family. They weren't anything like that.
Oh, we're
Like
supposed to pull Owari back in.
okay, he's ready to come back in.
Seems like it.
Okay. So Owari, how do you feel about the
Did they
Legend of
push the
Korra?
agenda? I just wanted a good show, but they didn't.
Hey, you're on podcast. What's going on, Owari?
Oh, what's up? I was looking at the stream, so I was kind of confused.
That's all right. Everyone's confused today.
Yeah. So I gotta. How should I start? I actually started. I actually rewatched the entire show last week just to get prepared for this shit, so I don't get like a biased opinion, so I don't have mixed opinions. But when I watched the entire of the show, my opinion still stands, and I fucking hate the show.
Okay.
And one of the things, at first, when I first like rewatched it, the first few episodes wasn't that bad. Korra wasn't that bad, even though she's fucking OP at 4, at the age of 4, knowing 3 elements, and it make no fucking sense at
Wait,
all.
wait.
But
Let me stop you right there. So like, I actually did. Oh, when I a few years ago when I was looking back at Legend of Korra, I was looking about that three elements thing. Maybe okay, maybe I'm biased. Maybe other avatars, once they could do that type of shit. But no, like literally none of them. Like talk like what's her name? What's the earthbending avatar who
I know,
told Aang to kill the Fire Lord?
yes,
What's her name again?
I know you
Kyoshi.
told,
There we go,
yeah, yeah,
Kyoshi. Kyoshi literally, she had no idea till her late 20s. She thought everyone, including her, thought her best friend was the Avatar, a dude who could only bend Earth till his late 20s.
yeah, that didn't make no sense to me at all. How
Like
OP she is.
avatars don't just do it. They just don't do it naturally. They literally have to be taught. That's the point of them going around to learn. The bending masters literally have to teach them to get them to think like other benders. You don't just start shooting fire when you're a waterbender.
Yeah, it didn't make no sense. And then she's been in her like been in that island for her almost her entire life, and then
Look,
it's and then
sorry,
in the
wait.
entire show. They never said anything about how the masters told her about this. No, she just came out the womb learning 3 elements. That didn't make no sense at all. I
It
was like, what the
literally did not. It literally made. I kept going back to that scene as to why that was the first moment I saw it. I was like, I had this feeling. I was 15, and I was like, this is gonna hurt me, isn't it? Like I wanted to like it, I really did, because I was like, okay, maybe it's just a funny moment like Avatar used to do,
yeah.
but I felt like this is gonna hurt me, and I watched, and I'm like, I'm the Avatar. You gotta deal with it. Earth,
Yeah,
fire,
oh my
water,
god.
and I was like, what the fuck is this? What
Oh
the
my
fuck
Imagine
am I
getting all
watching?
your fucking powers in the very beginning of a show. That's just bad character design.
Like
Yeah.
literally, like people like I asked some people why they thought that was okay. She was like, oh, maybe she was just like, you know how little kids do kamehamehas and stuff. I was like, so you're telling me that no other bender, like other benders have never just tried doing another element? It's like, oh, I could do it. Like even Katara at age what 14 could barely bend water. She could
Yeah,
barely get water to
she can
move
barely move a
naturally.
puddle. She can barely move a fucking puddle, but Korra, she can
Although
fire bend, earth
Although
bend.
to be fair, Toph did learn how to bend at like 2 years old.
It didn't
I think
Katara start late for some reason?
Well,
Yeah, she had no benders to learn from.
Yeah.
Toph
because
started
it
in
was
like
all
maybe
two,
catcher.
but
Because
she
it's all
learned from
catcher.
about
Badgermole. She learned from Badgermole, so
She, yeah,
that's fair.
that's an excuse because she learned from the niggas who actually the first earthbender, so it
Earthbender,
makes
yes.
sense. So I was like, what the fuck is that? And then like again, it didn't make no sense because she's been in that island for so long, like for her entire life. She has not gone anywhere. And they didn't say any in the show how the any of the masters come to that island looking for her. Like I said, she just came out the womb. And then I was like, all right, when I was because I watched this when I was 13. I was like I wanted to like this show because I'm like, there's a
You
dark
did.
skin.
You wanted
Like
to like it.
I wanted to watch it. Like I really wanted to. Like the main character is a dark skinned, muscle bound woman. I'm like, shit, I'm with that. I'm with that. I want to like that. And then once the show keep going on, I'm like, even at the age of 13, which I was not even like a critic, just like I was trying to, but I'm like, what the fuck is this? And then like I said, when I first watched the episode, it was like, it was all right. But once that episode 5 came on with the relationships, that's when
That was
shit
BS. That was
that
BS. That was some
that's
BS.
when the shit started hitting the fan. When they started introducing relationships into the story, that's when the show started getting shit.
Okay,
Like
let me ask everybody a question. Okay, how did you feel about the way Korra learned airbending?
I don't know
bullshit.
how Korra learned airbending.
Okay, for those who don't know, I'm gonna tell you. Korra had all her bending sealed by Amon. He blood bended all her bending shut.
That didn't make no sense.
I mean, but look. And then she literally had no bending, and Amon was coming up on her, and all of a sudden she just went full. She somehow unlocked the Avatar state to unlock her bending, but the only bending active to her at the time, even though she hadn't learned it at all, was airbending. She hadn't learned the styles. All she did was throw a punch, and air came out.
Bruh.
That was how
That's
she got
like
airbending.
plot armor.
even if I'm a fan of Korra from a writer's perspective, from a very critical perspective, because even if I'm a fan of Korra, I can really acknowledge that there is some wrong shit with its show. That didn't make sense to me at all from the technical perspective,
you.
like you said. But
It's like Gordon Ramsay, like going from child to
Exactly.
best cook in the world.
exactly, but for the scene perspective, it felt good. I think there was a sense of danger. There was a sense of
No.
like-
It felt cool. It felt
felt
cool.
cool.
It did
Yes,
feel
but
really
it didn't
cool.
make any fucking sense.
Exactly. It's like almost everything the show did. It was cool as hell. But then you look back and you're like, what the fuck was this?
I get
And
that's
it's not
because
like-
of the big- yeah. Please
It's
continue.
not like a character can just do that for plot armor. I mean, it's been done before, but it's just like she hadn't experienced it at all.
I
Like
can-
at least in fucking what can I think of? Part 3, right? Of
Yeah.
Jotaro had experienced time stop, so he was learning how it worked at the time. And then Korra's just like, you know what? Punch! I now have airbending powers.
Exactly. I mean, if we can really stretch the argument that Amon just blocked her active bending and the air bending just activated during the stress time, maybe it will make
You know
sense.
what? To
But
be honest,
I won't make the
to be,
stretch to defend characters.
to be
Sorry.
to be honest, look, like sure, airbending is supposed to be more spiritual than all the other forms of bending,
Yeah.
but considering Korra could bend all the other elements at 4, I feel like her just figuring out airbending at 17 is not the biggest ass pull in that show.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
But
I agree with
but
that.
There are
her
more
getting
stuff to
but
do it.
her getting her bending back out of nowhere is though.
By the end, like the end of the last episode, she
What? Uh-oh, we lost a man.
is one of those shows where there's no type of consequences at all.
Okay.
I
So,
did the last part, but all right.
wait, what would you say? I didn't hear that.
Something happened. Everyone went silent for some
Yeah,
reason.
everyone
Me
went
as
silent
Yeah.
for me
It must
too.
have been me.
But
Yeah,
look,
it's no Discord is down right now.
Oh,
Oh,
fantastic.
oh, okay, that
oh,
makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, anyway,
It's like we're all moving to Skype.
oh! I was talking my ass off, so nobody
you
could give a
were,
fuck.
you just cut out. Look,
Oh shit!
Yeah.
all I gotta say, like, there were a lot of things wrong with Avatar. There were the writing, like, even if you don't ignore the rest of the seasons, like, some of the big problems season 1 had were the bending. Like, the bending didn't even feel like it didn't even feel like it how the last Airbender had it. There was no natural kung fu styles except for like Tenzin. Tenzin still fought like an Airbender. Everybody
Yeah.
else was just flipping and punching fire and earth and water. There was no more actual kung fu to it. The styles, the martial arts styles, were almost gone.
Why even
Exactly.
watch it at that point? That was the fun bit. That's like the first engaging bit.
So much.
I
Like
just people care about the animation, I guess.
they're like, oh, the animation is so awesome. It's so fluid. It's so cool. I'm like, yeah, but like it's just they're just punching elements. There's no actual you can't see like when an earthbender is flipping around the same way as a firebender and a waterbender, what's the point?
Yeah,
Well, I'm gonna put a defense card, and I'm gonna say that fights in Korra, in my opinion, are much more creative than
I'm
in
not
Avatar.
gonna fight you on that. I'm gonna agree with you on that one.
yeah,
That
yeah. I
is
agree with
true.
that.
That is true. They
Yeah.
are more creative, but at the same time they all kind of feel the same sometimes.
On this, I'm gonna agree with you on because, like you said before, when she just unlocked her airbending, it wasn't different from firebending. Like I get it,
She just
Korra.
threw a punch. She just threw a straight up hard punch.
Yeah,
And
Bolin was
Yes,
in trouble. Bolin was in trouble when like the villain was about to kill this nigga. She went like no, and then threw a fucking punch and started aimbending.
it wasn't Bolin, it was Mako.
No, no, no,
yeah,
no. Yeah, I get those two niggas mixed up. Sorry.
It's
Like,
all right.
even though I just watched
look,
it, so
look. Also, another big problem I had with Korra, like they did Bolin dirty. Bolin did so much for that
oh
team,
my
Yes,
god.
but they
yes,
just
fucking
disrespected
yes.
him at every turn. Like he learned lava bending, and they just did nothing with him.
He had the coolest power in the fucking show, and he did nothing.
I'm
Like
gonna
when they implied he was too dumb to learn metal bending too.
Yeah. I remember. Yeah.
I remember it well. It's like he didn't have an affinity to learn metal bending. I don't know. Maybe that's how I remembered it.
You know what?
I
Possibly.
watched.
You might be right
Yeah,
about that one.
yeah.
I
I
guess.
rewatched some scenes of the show after I rewatched the show 2 years ago. And if I remember correctly, he didn't just have had the affinity to bend metal, but suddenly he like
Good lava
maybe
bend.
not maybe not unlocked a lava bending, but found out that hey, I can lava bend, and yeah, they did it dirty. I mean, I didn't like Bolin as much because I don't like characters that are comedic relief. But yeah, he did a lot for the team. He was like the glue for them. He was like,
True.
well, I don't like this character, but I recognize what he's done for the team.
One question.
Hmm.
How do you feel about the Avatar state? I talked about this, but how do you guys feel about the Avatar state in Korra as opposed to a Legend of the Last Airbender?
Hmm.
Nerfed.
Nerfed.
Very nerfed, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I gave an example. It's like in the original Avatar, when Aang goes to the Avatar state, it's like he's going to Ultra Instinct. He beats anybody in Avatar state, almost everybody. But when Korra does it, it's just like a minimal power up. Like she had to use it to beat a child in a fucking race. I'm like, so that's what we're doing. But then like compared to Aang, like I think it makes sense because
No,
why it's so nerfed because like she can like compared to Aang Korra can do it anytime she wants. She can use that shit anytime she wants to. So like they had to nerf it because otherwise there'll be no like point in a fight because she could use that shit anytime she wants. While
she
Aang is
mastered it way too quickly, though. She personally, in my opinion, she mastered it way too quickly.
yeah because she basically Aang gave it to her basically.
That is true.
This
And did give it to her.
This
Why?
and also from what I remember, the Avatar state just increased her range, increased for example, the amount of water she can water bend, maybe the reflex. I mean, it was a little power up. She could use it very often, but offered very little boost for it. But for Aang, it was more like of a trump card. Like
Like, no,
he's
no, no.
gonna
I
drop
remember,
it, everyone dies.
remember, when he found out everyone, his entire family had died. Oh, like over the
Yeah,
last 100 years.
That
The
shit
he
hit
went,
close
he
to
went,
home.
he went full like he blew up an entire building with just airbending, and he was creating a tornado around him just by standing still.
yeah. He just did nothing at all. He was insane.
And like the time when he defeated he that Earthbender general who tried to make him activate his Avatar state,
Yeah,
and he literally just did a stomp and just wrecked an entire plaza. Like that
yeah,
was the Avatar state. That shit where he could just do. He was nature itself. Like that was what
yeah,
I expected. Like he wasn't as strong as Kyoshi. We didn't see any of that, but he was incredible still.
Yep.
yeah,
But then when Korra does it, it's like
Like she
when she
you she actually lost to people in the Avatar state. That
yeah
is what got me.
yeah
yeah.
How do you do that?
every
Kuvira,
time
for example, man, that was that
that was
that
pathetic.
that was really bad. I mean, Kuvira is like type of a character like step on my gay ass, mammy, but
Like
she
every
lost to Kuvira, and it was very frustrating to see.
Like
And
every time she went Avatar State against the final villain, it's just like it's like she only uses that so she can get like she can be even with them. She can only be even with them,
yes,
not to like to be over them, to be overpowered them, just to be even. Not and it's like, what the fuck is the point then?
Wait,
on that I
wait.
will agree with you on that,
What?
but
What the fuck
I
do you want
think
us
I think they
to
toned
say?
it down because she also unlocked metal bending, spirit bending, and spirit water bending.
Okay,
Maybe
but
that's because
I think like when I first watched it, I thought, okay, Aang didn't want the power, but the other avatars could sense he needed the power, so they gave it to him. So
yeah,
that's why maybe his bending was stronger, and because Korra wanted the power, in fact, too much. That's why the other avatars were holding back on her. That's what I thought at first. Then she lost all the other avatars, and it was just her, and it was just as bad.
Hmm.
yeah. Maybe she wasn't connected as much. I don't know.
Honestly,
She said in the beginning of the show she did say she's not like she's not she can master any element but air. She's not very to the connected to the spirit. That's why she had problems with the air element. So
Yeah, for the first
but
season.
yeah, but it was kind of confusing because like both I mean not both Aang's son, he said like, oh,
Tenzin.
it Tenzin, he said that just like Aang, he had problems mastering the earth element because air was the opposite of earth. But water and water is the opposite of fire. So that's why I was still confused when she was 4 years old that she was able to learn firebending and she's a waterbender. But those
Mm,
two don't match at all. Even so it would make sense that she would learn airbending as a she should be learn airbending more easier as a waterbender. So I was still kind of more confused on that. But
Well,
then
So it's just that the
mhm.
lore doesn't align all the
yeah,
time.
Problem. The
I
Legend
yeah,
of
but
Korra is the last Jedi of Avatar.
oh yeah,
Oh
that's a
Jesus! Well,
that's a
that
that's perfect.
that
That's a
I
yes,
perfect
I
example.
agree.
I
I'm gonna
agree with that.
pull my pride in the closet, and I'm gonna say I agree.
I
But about
so wholly agree with that.
about this affinity with Korra, I think she learned waterbending. Probably she learned it first. But her character, her personality, is more aligned with fire. If I remember correctly, I learned something that you can be a waterbender but have some affinity towards other element. I don't know. That maybe that's how I explained to myself why Korra is bending fire so easily and so often. Notice how often she uses fire. She does use water, maybe in the third book, but very often she uses fire, and during those games between benders, she used water just because Mako was already a waterbender. Maybe that's why.
Look, honestly, there's so much about Legend of Korra that I still have questions about to this day. Like that giant spirit energy beam she used from her giant spirit energy
The
chest.
fucking Kamehameha battle, that shit
Yes,
was
that
This
was
dope.
was the moment that Korra lost me. Like I thought, like okay, it's some cool fantasy that has hints that it might be real, that might feel real, but they are pulling a spirit realm.
like I was like, okay,
This shit.
why did my avatar just become Dragon Ball Z? Like I like Dragon Ball Z, I like Avatar. I don't want them to mix.
Exactly.
And
Like
Don't
you
want them to
can't
just
have
cross over.
you can't have like if a show goes Dragon Ball, it's a bad thing. The only show that can do Dragon Ball is Dragon
Dragon
Ball.
Ball.
So it's
Yeah.
like, what the fuck happened? And then one thing I hated about the spirit arc is like they added the fucking dark
the
Yeah.
Dark Avatar.
avatar part. The
No,
dark,
Exactly.
literally,
oh my
no. The
fuck god.
Dark Avatar. The Dark Avatar immediately changed Avatar from Eastern spirituality
To
to
good or evil.
good, evil
Yes.
Christian Western stuff. I was like, why? Why would you take so much out of the Eastern aspect, the natural aspect, the you guys remember how the spirits were in Avatar, right? They were
Yeah.
directly animals. They even
Yeah, they were
they
animals.
weren't little glowing amoeba things.
Little motherfuckers like walking around and shit.
Like they were literal like animals. They were like directly. They took the
Like
form of animals. Ko was a spider. The moon and the ocean were
what
fish.
fish. And the
Um,
Yes.
panda and the panda.
yeah, like sure they could take monster forms, but they were still directly animals. They were still directly natural, not glowing little highlighter creatures.
Yeah, exactly. This team didn't stick so much, but maybe it's because of the convergence. Uh, it's a logical explanation, but it still doesn't resonate with me. To me, well, maybe I love Korra for the characters separately
To be honest, I don't
because
give a fuck about any other
That's a pretty
character.
because
natural phenomenon to just like something for its characters and not
yeah.
being that invested in the plot.
Yeah, the plot was good, but only about the trauma segment. Like it really could hit close to home. But the spirit arc.
Also,
Wait, what the actual fuck is happening? What did I
one question.
miss?
One like I have several questions about like the Legend of Korra. Let me
Yes.
just give you some of my questions, okay? Like
Yeah.
for one thing, how come how come bloodbending without a full moon just became a thing?
Oh my god, that was the biggest thing I hated.
Okay,
What?
like blood
I
bending without a
loved
full
it.
moon. How did Winterlock go from understandable to a full-on extremist? How come only
Because he had
some
daddy
people?
issues.
How come only some people got airbending? Why only airbenders were found? How come there other benders of other elements didn't just spring up? Like it was supposed to make the whole world more spiritual, like bring more spiritual energy into the world. So why was it only airbenders?
Maybe because, just like you said before, airbenders are more connected to the spirit realm than the rest. As for the bloodbending part, it was like, oh my god, I love this shit. I love mental bloodbending. It was cool to see. Didn't make a lot of sense, but oh my god, this was fucking cool, and I'm glad that Mingwa, the member of the Red Lotus, wasn't another bloodbender, because it is a rare ability.
Yeah.
Like Sokka in the flashback said, we've got Hama, we've got Amon, we've got his brother that I forgot the name, and and their father. Just
Look.
four people, and Katara, who banned it, but she unlocked it but banned it. And
Look, I'm just
I,
saying, look,
I
like there's one more question I have. Just like,
yeah.
how was Kuvira able to build an entire empire in 2-3 years?
Uh,
I have
because
no idea actually.
she's a second Hitler. Just saying.
Basically, she's just another. She's just more shittier. Eisen, not Eisen.
Like
Maybe.
just
Was it?
2-3 years. Like she has an entire empire. She has giant mechas all ready for her, everything.
Hmm. Maybe it's because of her personality. Maybe they did rush it. I don't know. Kuvira, I was hypnotized by her. Like
Like
I'm
she
more
had.
into Tarlok choking me to death, but oh my gosh, Kuvira, step on me. Use me as a rag.
Look,
Sorry.
honestly, I think they should have kept like the original plan for Korra was just to be book one. That was it. And I think they should have
Perhaps.
stayed like that. It would have been better if they stayed at book one, because like the original Avatar Wang, like I had problems with him. I had a lot of problems with him. It
Yeah.
uh it hurt the story. It was just it was weird. Uh
Uncalled for.
yeah, it was unnecessary.
Mhm.
Like Avatar like I think uh The Legend of Korra also suffered from not just weak character building of its main characters, but weak character building of its villains, apart from Kuvira, and maybe
I
a
mean,
little bit Zahir. But
Zahir was nice. Kuvira was one of the best, but if I have to be honest, the best character development in the series that we've got, I think, goes to the Beifong sisters. Like
that's fair. That's fair.
I have siblings, and I really know how it feels to fight over grudges that you don't even remember. Like something happened, but I just hate that piece of shit of my brother, and we did never talked about it. It was nice to see that they reunited by the end, and the way they've killed Puli. That was creative. That was cruel,
I I
nice,
get.
shocking.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
So I think we've covered. I think we've pretty much covered Legend of Korra. Pretty much covered how we feel about it. So just one another question. You guys know about Netflix's live action The Last Airbender, right?
Sadly, yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
Sadly,
How do you feel about it?
I've never watched it.
I mean, it hasn't come out yet. It hasn't come out yet, actually.
Oh,
I don't think
well,
they even say anything like. I didn't think they even.
If it's a Netflix adaptation, no one's gonna watch that shit except for like really desperate people who just want Avatar content.
Okay, see here's what we know already. Okay, so for the last year, it was supposed to release in 2020, but then we had the beer virus. But so here's what we know about it. Okay, so it's supposed to be the original co-creators, Mike and Brian. Apart from their writer, the third writer. I forget his
Mhm.
name. The one who actually kept things good in the original Avatar. He won't be here. But the ones for Korra, yeah, they'll be here.
Oh God! Now, okay, now I don't have no hope
No,
for
So
that.
no.
they've said the cast will be culturally appropriate and non-whitewashed.
Good.
There will be an
Uh,
open casting call. There was an open casting call in 2020. It was supposed to happen in 2019, but they just moved it to 2020. Let's see. Zuko's voice actor Dante Basco is involved in it. Um, Toph's Toph's voice actor is there too, and basically, let's see what else. The kid actors are going to be 10 to 15 years old, so roughly the same ages as everyone in the show.
Yeah.
mm,
So they're at least doing that at least. But generally, I'm worried about it. I'm really worried about how it feels, about what they're gonna do, considering they did not bring the third guy who kept everything good in Avatar. That's what I'm worried about.
mm. I'm gonna say after the disaster of Netflix's Witcher and as a poll that actually grew up on The Witcher. I nearly cried seeing how they massacred my boy, but so I hate the thought of Avatar being adapted by Netflix, and I'm definitely not gonna watch it at all because we already know how Netflix handles things.
Like
So
Death Note.
My big worry.
don't even mention Death Note.
Look, okay, look. First of all, I like Death Note. Let's not attack it. I like it.
Netflix Death
the
Note
live
was
Yes,
action,
I
horrible.
like
it?
Netflix Death Note. I
Ew.
like Netflix Death Note. But
You
look,
are
Oh.
you're a
Ew.
papega for that.
okay, ignore Amy. She's talking
Duh,
nonsense
I
like
like
always.
Netflix
She's
Death
rambling.
Note.
She's rambling. She rambles. We all know this. Anyway, Netflix Death Note aside, my big worry is that they're going to like make canon everything they did in Legend of Korra in the new live action Last Airbender.
Oh, I never thought about that
For
shit.
That's my
example,
big worry because the same writers for Legend of Korra are going to be writing or changing stuff for the live action show, of course. So I'm worried they're gonna make things like canon. Like they're gonna make references to Rava and Vatu instead of just the Avatar just being the planet spirit of balance.
yeah.
Because how can you have a spirit of balance? How can it be the spirit of balance when you have a good and evil to it?
Subscribe to the new lore, brother.
Like like if anything, the Avatar should have a good and evil Avatar spirit inside them, like a yin yang inside them, instead
Yes.
of two spirits, like a good Avatar and a dark Avatar. Come on,
That shit didn't even make sense,
it
and
really didn't.
Nope, I
it
did not
really
like that
Yeah,
at
didn't.
see,
all.
I
look
do
right
agree
here,
on that. Mhm.
right here in the comments. Anomander Rake says Avatar was supposed to be the planet's spirit. They changed that and made good and evil nonsense, like I just said. Yeah,
Yes, I do agree on that.
Yeah, I
I'm
definitely do.
worried about other thing, like more down to earth, like making, or wait, it's gonna be based on the Avatar, the Last Airbender. They are not gonna touch Korra, right? I mean,
look, they're not going to touch Korra. But
all
here's
right.
the thing: the third writer who was on Avatar, the one who kept
Yes,
everything
yes,
good
yes,
and
yes.
knew how to write actual characters, left. So it's just
This,
going to be the two writers from Avatar, from
it's
Legend
gonna
of
be a
Korra.
disaster. It's gonna
I
be a
feel that's what I
disaster.
feel like. That's what I
Don't
feel
get your
like.
hopes up, boys.
I think
No.
like the only reason it could be good is like how goodly paced the show is and how the CGI is. If the CGI is fucking terrible, this show is gonna bomb. If
Yeah.
it
No,
don't
that's a
look
very good
good,
point.
if it don't look good, and the people who actually do the airbending don't like look good doing that, it's gonna bomb.
Hey, remember that movie that was based on the Avatar, The Last Airbender?
Yeah,
It's
whatever
be-
was that? I've never seen that either. Was that a Nick thing?
No, like it,
it
it
was a
was it
new
was it was a Nick thing. Yes, it
I
had M Night Shyamalan.
Shyamalan.
Shyamala-
Shyamalan. Shyamalan.
I
Shyamalan.
think if Netflix releases its live adaptation for The Last Airbender, Shyamalan is
Shyamalan.
his sins gonna be forgiven. I guarantee that. Take my word for it. Mention me when it happens. Really,
Look,
I can
all I'm
already see that.
oh, look, so okay, I think we should come to close. Anybody have any questions you want to ask us? You want to come into
I have a question. I have a question.
Amy, you're
So
on the
why do
show.
you
You don't
like
have to.
NTR?
Amy, first of all, I don't.
I want to
have a
know what
screenshot
possesses
of
you
you
to
saying
believe
it,
that the
though.
Netflix Death Note live action film was any good.
Okay, first of all, the Netflix
What
Death
makes a
Note.
man?
The Netflix Death Note was actually. I consider it. I
Did it?
I thought of
Netflix
it
Death Note was
separately.
mediocre.
I thought of it separately from the actual show. I thought of it as its own universe, its own thing. I didn't consider L
You can't do
or
that with the new
You can't do that.
Avatar.
You can't do that. They're the same
because
characters in
I
the same
hadn't I
show.
hadn't I hadn't read Death Note up until I watched Avatar. It's like how Legend of Korra fans who didn't watch Avatar could like Legend of Korra full on because they never actually watched Avatar yet.
And make
So I
bullshit
That's
about it on
watched
insane.
Twitter.
Netflix Death Note before I read the actual Death Note manga.
Shame on you.
I mean,
Anyway,
even if you did that as a movie, it's so fucking like dumb. Like some of these characters
yes,
are
but
really
it's
fucking
still
dumb.
very
Even
it's still very funny. It's still very.
Okay, I give
I
you that.
liked
There's
it.
a
I
lot of
liked it. I
dumb shit
liked
in
it.
there. There's a lot of dumb shit, but just like sure, there's some funny ass like things, but it's not. Sometimes it's not purposeful. When they actually do real jokes, it's not funny. But when it's not, it's funny. But then anything else of the show is not really good at all. I was like, especially when they made fucking Light a white boy and fucking his girlfriend white as well, a fucking cheerleader who smokes even though she don't cheerlead at all. That was
Yeah.
like I was like, what the? I'm like, this is not gonna be good at all. Even before the movie came out, that shit was not gonna be good.
Also, in response to Amy's question, first of all, Amy, you know the context of that question that why I stated that.
Yeah, the context was I tweeted about NTR and you replied that.
Yeah, I replied. I find the art hot. I
Where's the
find the art hot.
context?
Okay, you know what?
You admitted to
Gotta
liking
add that
NTR.
into
That's
the image
the
roll.
context.
Someone's got
You
a
know-
picture of that, don't they?
Second of all, I grew up past it. I emotionally
I'm
developed past.
pinning the
I have
NTR thing.
evolved past the need for NTR.
The fuck is
Pin
NTR?
the NTR thing.
Whatever.
Someone fill me on this. Maybe it's
No,
American
we're,
stuff.
we're, we're
What's
skipping past
NPR?
it. We're skipping past it. Anybody have questions they want to ask in the podcast?
No.
Why are you gay?
No.
Okay, anyone in the green room, anyone in the YouTube chat want to ask questions?
Yeah, we'll take some
Yeah,
questions.
I got one. Why are you gay?
Amy, why are you short? Why are you short? Why are you a literal midget? Why are you a legal midget?
I can't
Why are you a
speak or
legal
YouTube
midget?
will suspend me.
Oh my.
Cock and ball torture.
No cock and ball torture on my
Fucking
podcast.
ball.
No CBT on my podcast. Anyway,
You got nothing.
I
so
got
no
nothing.
questions.
I guess not. They heard your terrible takes on Death Note and they all bounced.
Look.
Yeah,
look,
they saw you hated pie and they all left.
Okay, yeah, I hate pie. Pie is disgusting. Pie is trash. Pie is
You're
Yo,
ass.
can we cancel Poe?
Yeah.
Cake, cupcakes, brownies.
I'm
Muffins,
canceling you, Poe. I'm telling my Twitter
tiramisu.
contact you said the N word. You're canceled.
Tiramisu. Look, there's a lot of good pastries. Cake. I mean, pie is not
Hogan
one of
and
them.
TR
Cheese-
Solo with
oh my
Watto.
God.
True.
Cheesecake is also ass.
I don't like cheesecake.
Wait.
Cheesecake's
Thank
fucking
you.
ass.
Cheesecake is ass.
No, you ass.
No.
I like
It's
apple
good.
pie.
Cheesecake
like
is
apple pie.
delicious, and it is for the refined palate. That's why
Look.
you don't enjoy it.
Unless
Because
we
you
talk-
enjoy eating trash.
Unless we're
Oh.
talking about like Oreo cheesecake or
Pure
Oreo
choice.
pie, like that's different. But like
No,
every
no, no.
other pie and cheesecake is disgusting.
No.
I thought cheesecakes were only for the old white woman.
George
Pomegranate
Floyd the
cheesecake.
Third.
Look,
Cause of death. Knee
Look.
to the neck.
look,
Everywhere I go.
Amy, you're gonna have to stop.
You better stop! Bitch, stop!
What?
Ah!
Somebody
Why
has
did
to fucking bring humor of some degree, Poe. You're not funny. How are you? Poe is less funny than the average woman.
Amy,
So the
you
last
use
5 minutes dedicated to roasting Poe and his terrible opinions on dessert and everything else.
Amy, you use Twitch emotes in regular conversation. I believe out
Yeah,
of the
that's fine. You know what's
And it
not
conveys
fine?
more emotion than when you usually give me, so.
You know what's not fine? Being
What?
gay. Off to gulag.
Oh my god!
Off to the
Shipping us
gulag.
all
Look.
off, brother.
Jesus.
You know what? Oh my god! First of all, I'm not short. I'm 5'9". That's like average.
That's
Second.
way
Man,
before.
That's
like,
actually a manlet, sorry.
I'm
You are
taller. I'm
5'2".
6'1".
You are 5'2".
Yeah, I'm also-
Amy is
Man,
4'9".
I'm also not a man, so it really
Yeah.
don't matter.
You are below
not a
the average
manlet.
for women. You are below the average for women.
I'll have
Amy
you know that
is a
I'm
Actually,
5'4".
literal.
Lamhammer
Amy
is
is a literal
average.
midget.
I am
Amy's a literal
incredibly
At
midget.
least in my
average.
country, she's average.
I am
F your
incredibly
country. We're in
average in all
America.
areas of life.
We're in America. F your country.
Except
Anyway,
streaming.
I am 5'9". Amy's 4'9".
Hey, at
You're
least my
5'2".
fucking president isn't a fucking dumbass.
Amy, you can't reach doorknobs. Be quiet. Second.
That's why you don't put
Correct.
doorknobs on. Simple. It's
Okay.
very
Huh.
simple
This is
fix.
this is eventually gonna devolve into me calling Poe poor.
Oh.
That's how it's gonna end.
I'm yeah. You can call me poor. I don't
Yeah,
mind.
how about that laptop?
Poor, fat, living in a hotel with a cockroach worth
Oh,
What the fuck?
Damn.
oh, she back.
I was like, what the fuck?
Excuse you.
I,
Excuse you. Goodbye. He won't even notice
Goodbye,
for
pal.
a minute. Wait, he's not. He's probably just yelling at nobody right now, dude.
He about to punch the wall.
You gotta wait until I need him.
Let's wait till he no. Let's wait till he figures it out.
out of my own podcast. Out of my own podcast.
Goodbye.
Did I just get kicked out
Yeet.
of my own podcast?
It was Lamb, not me.
Kurwa.
That was
Oh,
defo
fuck.
me, yeah.
Oh, you know what? I'm gonna let that go. But
It's time to
here's the
wrap
thing.
this up, boys.
Okay, let's wrap this up. Amy's short. Amy's a literal midget. Lamb is short.
So,
and
oh my god, no,
5'9"
I'm
is not
short.
manly. 5'9" is not
Shut
a
up,
manly.
you like NTR.
And
To
you're
the
a manly.
guillotine.
I have a
my
question. What
God,
the fuck is NTR? What the fuck?
It's like cheating with extra
It's
steps.
It's Japanese. It's Japanese cheating with extra steps. Yeah,
That sounds terrible. Who the fuck
it
would like
is.
that?
It is terrible. I mean,
No, I mean,
It's
Poe,
Japan,
you're the one who
after
said you
all.
like it, so
I said the art can be good
Okay.
that's not what
mean,
you
it-
said in the Twitter post.
because you're just posting it without context. Okay, you know what?
You can always find the
Thank you
artist's
for
work
joining
and-
us again for Digital Blackface. It was wonderful
what?
to see everybody again.
We're glad.
Thanks for having
Thank
me.
you, Fran Drescher, for joining us. Thank you, a literal furry, for joining us. And thank you, everyone, for being here for this absolute mess of a show.
Mess, this one's just fine. You're the one offended.
We also want to thank Artesian
mad.
We also want to thank Artesian Builds, our sponsor. Check out if you're interested in getting a new computer, check them out. They make awesome builds. And
Link in the description.
link in the description.
It is in the
Ads are
description.
are in the top right corner. Check them out. Use my promo code for up to $100 off. And thank you for this awesome but messy show. See you next
Thank
week.
you, guys.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you.